Best in podcast, the best in town. You want to get up, get ready to get down. With its big wide sky and the wild river Thames, if you want to go, we can take you there. To Great Falls, Montana.
Welcome to the greatest damn town in Montana, Great Falls. I'm Rebecca Ingham.
I'm Shannon Newth.
And we're No Damn Experts. What's in store for us today, Shannon?
I am excited for this one because this is a piece of Great Falls history that I know very little about, which is why they are here. So let's get right to it. We have Fran and Scott joining us from the Ayrshire Dairy. Thank you both for being here.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm just going to start our podcast episode off with, we have a mural in our office. There's a cow that is on the mural.
Yes. You'll have to look outside. Outside the studio.
Not the studio, but outside the office. And the cow's name is Airy, in honor of the Ayrshire Dairy. It is not a milk cow.
It's not a dairy cow.
But
we
it's
still
still a
named her
cow.
that.
Yeah. We had a contest, and that's the one who won.
Yeah.
So there we
She's
go.
named after you all. Yeah.
That's exciting.
So let's start a little bit with Scott. We'll bring you into this. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up at the Ayrshire Dairy.
Great question.
Well, I was my parents, Harry and Kay Mitchell, built a house at the Ayrshire Dairy in 1967 when I was about 7 years old, and I moved out there then with my two older sisters, and my younger sister was born that same year. So I was raised on the dairy and did a lot of dairy farming for many years, and then came back after college and worked in the dairy for a while. So it's rooted in me pretty strongly.
And then, Fran, where do you fit into this picture?
Well, again, I was raised at the farm.
Okay.
I have lived on the farm now since, for about 35 years. Moved away, went to college, and then came back.
Okay.
So
And you're there now,
I
still
am.
on the property.
Yeah, I'm currently on the property.
Yeah.
So let's get into the history of the Ayrshire Dairy. Is it operational today?
As a dairy farm,
No. So we're not milking cows out there on a day-to-day basis, but we used to. So let's dig into that history of has your family always owned it? When did it start? When did you think, oh, Montana, let's milk some cows and see if we can sell it? And I preface this with I have a friend that's milking sheep and creating sheep's milk and sheep's ice cream and sheep stuff.
Oh.
I didn't know that was possible. So I just wonder when all this milking started.
Well, the property was bought in 1906.
Oh, wow.
And we started producing milk in 1908. And the first delivery was made by mules to town.
Oh, wow.
With glass bottles. And
was it delivery to town like individual, like from back in the movies? You'd get like a crate of 6 on your doorstep. Is that what we're talking about?
they would put the milk on the doorstep.
Oh,
yes.
wow.
Yes.
That's
And
cool.
from what I understand is the mules are very smart, and they knew exactly who was getting delivered. And so
they could just do the route on their own.
Exactly. They would move forward, and the driver would, grab the milk and put it out there on their steps.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then how did it transform from the glass bottles and mules to what it became?
Well, Scott, maybe we should talk a little bit about why it became a dairy farm first.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's a good idea.
Mhm.
So go ahead, Scott.
So, most of the listeners probably are unfamiliar with the term Ayrshire. Ayrshire is a county in Scotland, and that's where Ayrshire dairy cattle come from.
Okay.
They're a very minor breed. Most dairy cows are black and white, and they're Holsteins. Ayrshires are red and white.
Oh.
And our great grandfather, Harry B. Mitchell Sr., immigrated from Scotland. And so when he started the dairy in 1908, he wanted Ayrshire cattle from his homeland. And so those were the cows that were milked at the dairy. We had Holsteins at some Holsteins at one point in time, but registered purebred Ayrshires was really what is the name of the dairy and the breed of the cow that we milked for many years.
How'd you get the cow, Scott? How did your family get the cow?
Really,
okay.
How the herd started, we're not sure, but it could be when James J. Hill built the railroads out this way. He encouraged, for business purposes, people to bring cattle on the railroad to the remote areas in the West. And that could have been how I'm sure they came out on the railroad. I don't know if they were, that was part of our promotion or not. But our Ayrshire herd grew to be the largest herd in the United States. At one point, we milked over 200 head of cattle, of Ayrshire cattle.
Twice a day.
And yeah, twice a day.
Yes.
But that wasn't until the later years. The early years, in addition to the cows that we milked in Great Falls, there were dairy farmers from the surrounding areas and outlying in Great Falls, Sims, Fort Shaw, etc. And so milk would be picked up from those operations also and brought to the dairy, and then it was processed there. So it was really a big processing operation that was developed by our grandfather and grandmother, Harriet Mitchell and Fergus Mitchell, are really the people that made the dairy in its heyday, which would be, in 1958, they had the 50th anniversary, and that was, we weren't even born. Fran and I weren't born. Actually, she was. I wasn't. But that was probably the height of the operation, where they were producing milk, buying milk from others, processing it, and delivering it in town. That continued until 1974, when the retail operation ended. They quit processing milk at the dairy, but it still was used as a distribution center for many years thereafter. And that's when our dad, Harry Mitchell, expanded the farm. And so that's when we took on more cattle, bought some Holsteins, continued to have the purebred Ayrshires. Up through 1989 was the last time cows were milked at the dairy. So that's kind of the history of the dairy operation, even though that's been almost 40 years ago. Of course, we still call it the Ayrshire Dairy and the dairy when we come home. Like, hey, when are you coming to the dairy? That's kind of the family nomenclature.
So, Scott, can I go back just one second here? HB, our great grandfather, actually had a little ice cream shop in Great Falls called the Bon Ton, and he had that prior to the farm, and he was looking for higher butterfat content to make better ice cream. And that's how. And he, being from Scotland, he knew that the Ayrshires produced high content butterfat, and so that's when, from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, but that's when he decided to bring Ayrshires rather than a different breed. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
You get to be the expert, because we have no idea.
I love that all of this started from wanting better ice cream.
Yeah.
That is fantastic.
So even before the Ayrshires showed up, your great-grandfather was making ice cream in Great Falls.
He had an ice cream shop called the Bon Ton.
Do you know where that was?
I think it was down on Central.
Okay.
If I look through some of my archives, I have an old menu of what they served. Yeah.
So I know there's an old Bon Ton in Lewistown too. Did he franchise?
No.
Okay.
No.
So
Well,
somebody
I was
stole
wondering
the
because
idea.
their name, Fergus, right, is one of your
an uncle.
Yeah,
Yes.
and Fergus being the county that Lewistown's in.
Ooh,
Maybe there's
some
a
connections
connection.
No idea.
Yeah.
No, that's not right.
Oh, come on.
When our grandfather when our great grandfather immigrated from Scotland, where they initially ended up was Fergus Falls, Minnesota.
Oh.
So he named his oldest son Fergus, and then Fergus named his oldest son Fergus. So that's the history there. And we have a cousin who has a son who's 13 years old that lives in Missoula, and his name's Fergus.
Oh.
I think you're missing a real opportunity here to say you had instrumental development in Fergus County.
Yeah.
I just think you could claim it.
Stake your claim
I don't
there.
know if anyone's going to dispute it.
So Scott, it sounds like Fran was saying that you have memories of you worked the farm when you were young. Did you as well, Fran?
I mostly did baby calves, fed calves.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got
Yeah.
to feed them, and then Scott,
Yes.
you milked them?
And farmed.
Yeah, we had
Yeah.
at the dairy farm we had a lot of hired help and a herdsman who ran the dairy, and so I learned that as a young man, and then actually came back when between like age 22 and 29 and ran the dairy, was the herdsman during that time period. And so that's everything from, selecting the progeny for the cattle, artificial insemination, buying registered stock, selling stock, calving them, milking them, taking care of the baby calves, like Fran said. We raised hay and barley to feed them on the farm. We couldn't raise all of our feed, so we had to buy feed from other neighbors in Cascade County. And you can see that I know you've been out there. One of you've been out there a few weeks ago. The big blue silos, those were for silage feed for the cattle.
Yeah.
So back in the day, my family had a cow, and we would milk that cow to get milk and butter and cream, and we had a separator that we would run the milk through. I mean, real high-tech operation with our one cow. I have to imagine it's a lot different in a commercial operation. You're not going out there, milking by hand, but maybe you are. So can you tell me about what that process was like and how it changed over time? Did you all start milking by hand?
Initially, it was. Yeah.
It's our understanding that they had machines early on, and so there was a stanchion barn that's now no longer exists, but it was actually on the cover of Ayrshire Digest, which is the magazine for Ayrshire breeders.
Hey.
It was on the cover in about 1920 as touted as a very modern milking facility, and that was all machines then.
Wow.
So before the 20s, how many cows they milked and if they milked them by hand, we're not really sure. The separator you're talking about, I think I can envision it. It was probably a De Laval separator. A lot of people have them for yard art these days. It had a big bowl on the top and then the plates in there that separated the cream.
Yep.
On the bottom. We had one of those too. We could never really get it to work, but they had industrial separators in the milk plant that did that same thing.
Yeah, I think I don't think ours ever worked real well. I mean, you still got a lot of cream on the milk when it finally went into the fridge. So it wasn't that was the process. You milked it into a pail and you dumped it in this thing and captured the two things and put it in the fridge. Done.
I think one thing that needs to be said is, and a lot of people know this, but some people don't, that when you have a dairy farm, you're calving year round. It's not like beef cows, because you need those cows to be in milk all year long. And so it's not like you just calve in the spring. So we were calving 12 months a year.
Yeah.
So I guess let's spend some time on that, because until you said it, I didn't really connect the dots.
Yep, me either.
Cows aren't making milk unless they have babies.
Right.
Kind of like
that
humans.
just clicked for me too, which is it's so rudimentary, right? But I was like, I didn't even
connect the dots.
You're right. Yeah. And so, yeah, talk a little bit about that and how that's different and the challenges of that in Montana weather.
Scott, go ahead. There were some cold winters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not. It was a lot easier than the cattle ranchers have when they calve in January and February. We had free stalls for the cows to be in, and so in the cold months when they calved, we had indoor facilities for them, and every once in a while a calf might get dropped outside in the snow, but we watched them real closely, and when they were ready to calve, we put them in the barn and with good straw spread, and we tried to be there when the calf was born, and most of the time we were, because what happens on a dairy farm is after the calf is born, it is taken away from the mother, and the calf is fed milk replacer, and the mother, of course, goes into the milk stream and to produce milk for humans, and an average cow produces about back in those days probably 15,000 pounds per year. Today, good cows are producing close to 30,000 pounds a year.
Holy moly!
Whoa.
And then they'll peak at about 100 pounds per day. And there's 8.6 pounds per gallon. So you could do the math. A dairy cow is an amazing animal that produces a lot of milk, especially when they're just fresh and right after they have their calf.
So, how many cows at a time are you actually milking?
Our milking parlor was very inefficient. We could only milk 4 at a time.
Oh,
Most milking parlors are double sixes or double eights, so they'll milk anywhere from 12 to 16 cows at a time.
But
so
still
they
4, that's a
basically-
lot of milk still.
yeah.
Yeah, they wait in line and come in and get milked, and then go out, and they learn their routine.
But there's got to be some type of reserves, like some are sitting on the bench waiting or pregnant, and others are already in the system. So, like, you got to have different
That's a
stages
big,
for each
Intricate
group.
system.
Yeah, and that's a lot of cows you're
That's right.
producing all the
Mhm.
time.
Yes.
How many are
we had-
pregnant
we
at
had-
a time?
We had 3 different herds: the fresh ones, and the medium ones, and then the ones that were going dry. And then a dry lot, the cows a cow would be dry, would not producing milk for about 60 days, and then they would calve again. So the ideal cycle is in a 365-day year. A cow would milk 300 of those days, 305 days, and then be dry for 60 days, calve again, and start all over. So that's the work of a hardworking dairy cow.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, respect to
Well,
those female dairy cows out there.
That's
My
better than I
goodness.
thought. Like, my thought is they're giving birth 3 times a year, or
Mhm.
7 times a year. Like, it's more manageable cycle, I think. I mean,
Yeah, no, just
I don't
their
know.
gestation's about 279 days. So a 1-year calving interval is ideal. We were a little bit longer. Most of them are between 12 and a half and 13-month interval when the cow calves till she calves again.
huh.
Scott, you were saying that it sounds like nowadays or in more recent history, they're producing significantly more milk. Did I hear that right in terms of pounds per year? Why?
Are we
Why
gonna
are they
delve into
producing
some-
so much more now?
2 reasons. One is genetics. There's very good genetics, and so cattle are bred to produce more milk all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Second, nutrition. You feed them good nutrition. Good high quality alfalfa hay is high in protein. You feed them corn silage and corn and cottonseed and other feedstuffs that we used to not be able to get in Montana, but now some of them can be grown or they can be imported. Soybeans is another protein source that you can import. And so the combination of genetics, actually 3 things: genetics, management, and nutrition is how they have increased their production. In the big dairies today, a lot of them are milked. Most of them are milked 3 times a day because they're just producing so much milk.
Wow.
They can't. It's too hard on the cow to only milk
Wow.
them twice a day.
Can you taste a difference from when you first, like when you were a kid and had the milk, and then years later, as these changes happened? Can you taste a difference in the milk they're producing?
I don't think so. If you drink raw milk, the only taste difference is going to be butter fat.
Mm-hmm.
It might taste a little richer. Most milk is processed, and then it all tastes the same after you remove the fat, and then you add back in what you want, whether that's 1%,
Sure.
2%, or something else. So, not really.
So the evolution is always what interests me. So we go from leaving milk on a doorstep. Hopefully they got it in time where it didn't heat up and
Spoil.
curdle or something into cottage cheese. I'm assuming. I'm not an expert. But also growing up on a ranch and you have fresh beef, is it difficult to have milk that you don't produce today?
I'm not really following your question.
Okay, so you used to have fresh milk that would come right off your own dairy. Now that doesn't happen. You got to go to the store and buy milk. Is it different for you? Can you tell the difference? Like for me, I don't order steak at a restaurant because it doesn't taste as good as the steak I grew up with. And so I wonder, because you're dairy farmers and dairy makers of milk, does it taste different today than when you were making your own milk?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I got you. I would say, for the most part, when we were growing up at the dairy, we drank processed milk because we had a processing plant there. And so all the bulk milk that was, running around 4% milk fat would go through the processing plant, and then we would just get it after it had been processed. So the same as if it's in the store. It might be a day fresher.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And milk store life is about 12 days. And so that tastes much like the milk today. When we did drink, and there was times we drank raw milk right from the bulk tank.
Sure.
Of course, that does taste different. That's very rich and very, very good, very fattening. So yes, it does taste different, but you get used to it.
Well, and I tell people, Scott, that when we were in the retail operation, we had the coolers in the stores filled with Ayrshire milk, and then when they expire, the milk came back to the farm, and we called that dump milk. And basically, it was just expired milk. But we would go over, and I always say we grew up on dump milk because it was put out there for the families and the employees that worked out at the farm, and anybody could take whatever had expired at the store because it's still good. It just has the expiration date. And so they would go over there, and we would oftentimes run out of milk and have to run to the milk plant and get some more
Get
dump
your
milk.
own.
Did you make your own cheese or butter or anything like that from any of the milk out there, just for yourselves?
We didn't.
No.
Rarely.
How about ice cream?
I mean, the heritage.
With one
Maybe on 4th of July.
I was going to
Yeah,
say,
okay.
with those ancient ice cream makers.
Yeah, right.
Lots of rock salt. Yeah.
So when did Ayrshire Dairy quit putting milk on the shelves in Great Falls? And was the milk just always in Great Falls, or was it a larger distribution?
It was in the greater Great Falls area, and they had a distribution facility in Shelby, so it was up on the High Line somewhat. The milk that was in the cartons that said Ayrshire milk on them, that lasted until 1974. And then that was what we call the retail operation. And my grandparents sold that to an outfit out of Havre. His name was Vitarich. They continued. They had a processing. They had a processing plant in Havre, so they would take all the milk that used to be processed in Great Falls up to Havre, process it, and then bring it back down in cartons and use our coolers and stuff for a distribution. So they basically expanded into a bigger area when they bought our retail operation.
And then you just
we continued to milk the cows, and the other dairies in the area that I mentioned earlier did the same thing, produced for Vita-Rich for years, and then later produced for Dairy Gold out of Bozeman, the milk went from Great Falls down there.
And we still have milk being, I'm going to say, shipped out of Great Falls today with Meadow Gold. How do they fit into this entire story, if at all?
Well, the way they fit in is many years ago, there was several milk plants in the state, and Meadow Gold had a plant in Great Falls and one in Billings, and they still do. And Dairy Gold has a plant in Bozeman. Those are the only 3 milk processing plants left in the state. So of the dairies that are left, and there's not very many, and there's 37 dairies that milk cows statewide. The milk either goes to Great Falls Meadow Gold or Billings Meadow Gold or Bozeman Dairy Gold to be processed and then distributed out of there.
Do Ayrshire cows still roam the plains of Montana?
No.
Dang it.
No, there used to be another Ayrshire, another dairy down by Bozeman. A man named Ben Donlin owned that. He worked for my grandmother years ago, and he started his herd with cattle from our herd. He went out of business probably in the early 90s, similar to when we quit milking cattle. And those were the only Ayrshires in Montana. The biggest concentration of Ayrshire cattle is in the northeastern United States, Vermont, New York, upstate New York, etc. There's still some there, but not many.
You were pretty niche though. Because I don't think when I think of Montana, I don't think dairy. I don't think of milk. I think of beef and wheat, right?
Can we compete against Wisconsin? Can we say we're the dairy capital of the world? Wonder one day.
No.
Yeah, not even close.
Not at all. Montana is a beef and wheat state by far.
Do you think it's just the conditions, the more harsh conditions that we have here, or why do you think there's not more dairies in Montana?
I'll come back to the nutrition.
Yeah.
Well, that's not really it. It's more
Okay.
When I said the nutrition and population centers, Montana has big long distances, and transporting milk, either bulk or packaged milk, is expensive. In southern Idaho, there are numerous large dairies that milk thousands of cows every day, and processing plants, and they can grow tremendous good feed down there for those animals, and then distribute it out of there, through a large area. So that's why that's one of the big reasons, is the distances
that makes sense.
to transport and the number of people to serve.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. I want to ask a little bit, because Fran, I got to meet your family in person a few weeks ago when you were having the estate sale at the dairy. Tell me a little bit about, because this has been, that's been around for a long time. Tell me a little bit about this estate sale, about your parents and your family, and kind of what led to that point.
Well, first and foremost, my dad never got rid of anything. He's a product of the Depression, and everything was a disaster as far as equipment. Not the equipment wasn't a disaster, but he saved everything. The barns were filled with motors, and when we quit milking cows, he saved all the equipment from that operation. And for about 20 years, my sister and I have been trying to clean things up.
Oh my.
And so anyway, we have slowly been cleaning the peripheral edges, and now we have gotten into the barns. And our dad passed away in April. And I decided it was really time now that I could start to really clean things out. So at first we were just going to have just their personal estate and have a sale. And I have 2 other siblings besides Scott. And so I decided that we were going to throw farm stuff in there as well.
Yeah.
And so that's how we had, the estate. Luckily, we had the room to have it mostly, in buildings. But yeah, we had to move his estate out of the house because my son bought the house.
Oh.
So anyway, that's why we had the big sale.
Yeah.
And after looking around, I'm sure we can have it.
Well, let me ask this, because you may or may not know that Great Falls is Montana's museum capital. Is there a future where there's a section of the Ayrshire Dairy carved out to be a little bit of a museum to how dairies used to process milk and deliver them here in Montana?
It's a really good question.
And the answer
Can we
should
help
be
with
yes.
that? Yeah. Or hook you up with the local history
yes,
museum?
We have tons of history, and we've saved it, and memorabilia and things like that. So right now we're just sort of in a bit of a flux as far as what we want to do. So
just
but
tell me that idea just sits
it's
on
a
the
good-
shelf
it is a
as
good
an
idea.
option, and
It
be
is.
like,
we would love to see that.
yeah, no, it is. It definitely is an
That's cool.
option. Yeah, yeah.
good.
So
As part of the estate sale, your parents and your family, obviously big contributors to this community, longstanding in this community. As I walked through the estate sale portion, you and I had a brief conversation about just how much of world travelers your parents were, because at the estate sale there were all kinds of items from Asia and just various trips. Tell me a little bit about what you discovered about them and their passions when you went through that.
I wouldn't call them world travelers.
Okay,
Would you,
okay.
Scott? They
No.
went
Okay.
to Scotland
Okay.
to see the original homestead from
Okay.
where my great grandfather had been. My dad was in the Air Force, so he was stationed in Japan.
Okay.
And then they also went to
That
China.
counts as world travel.
Yeah. So
Those are parts of the world.
Yeah.
that
Just
well,
letting
that
you
is
know,
true,
folks.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because there
that's-
were some interesting things that they had brought back from.
Yeah. My mother was
Yeah.
a real, I would say, eclectic collector.
Uh-huh.
She had lots of different things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when we went through stuff, it was like, oh, we remember this, and
Sure.
but what we did is, we went through it, cherry picked what all family members wanted, and
Sure.
then there was plenty for the community. So,
What was that like? Because this has been your family's history. It had to have been a little bit bittersweet, I would imagine, to see things go away. Maybe?
Scott, I said, Scott, you were at the checkout stand. So I think you did say at one point in time, yeah, I just saw our childhood just walking out the door. So,
Yeah, it was like your life passed before your eyes watching people check out. Somebody bought my 6th grade chemistry set for $2 and a microscope for $1, and my mother had saved all of that stuff, and and it was in pretty good shape. So I'm glad
that's
somebody
good.
has it.
yeah.
You also were selling crates and bins that said Ayrshire Dairy on them. Some of the
Ooh.
yeah. Did you end up did a lot of people buy those?
Yeah, they were sold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are cool
Yeah.
mementos.
We kept a few back.
Mm-hmm.
So when we do a museum,
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
we will
Perfect.
have that. Yeah. So
I just assume it's easy to start a museum,
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
in all your free time.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Exactly.
Just start that.
Yeah.
And then, friend, you're still living on the property today. What
I
is that like? I mean, that's a long-standing family history. You still get to live there.
Oh, I feel really blessed that I can do that. I can watch every season come and go, and we've transitioned from being a dairy farm to we lease all the corrals to horse people. So they board horses out there, and then a lot of the buildings are leased out. So we've tried to change things a little bit without changing everything completely. We have some farmers that grow the crop, and then on the other side of the road we have another farmer that runs some beef cows during the summertime. So, it's a lot. I mean, it's not as busy as it was growing up, but it's plenty busy. And I think what we really didn't realize is once we got rid of the cows, all of a sudden in these corrals we had all this growth, weeds and grass and this and that. It's like, oh my God, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
And every corral is a different size because, calves had, as they got older, they had different places that they were put. So we have smaller corrals, we have bigger corrals, and so it depends on what the boarders want as far as what's available.
Yeah.
But
And the sign still stands. It says Ayrshire Dairy, correct?
yeah,
Will it always?
I hope so.
Yeah, me too.
That's
I
cool.
do. Yeah.
When I was growing up, we would come to Great Falls for holidays, and my aunt and uncle lived on Fields Road. And so we always,
Yes.
that was like a part of my growing up was driving down 13th, going past the Ayrshire Dairy, taking the left to head to my aunt and uncle's house for holidays. So, I mean, it's a part of my history, even though I never got to drink it.
Yeah.
I've always seen the Ayrshire Dairy growing up in Great Falls.
Nostalgic for you too.
Yeah.
Another little sideline is when we were producing milk, every second grade classroom in Great Falls, every second grade would come out and they could watch the cows get milked. And then they'd go, my grandma had a little playground, which is now my backyard, but she had a playground. And the kids would go over there and they'd always get a little half pint of chocolate milk.
Oh.
And you run across people now and they always say, I remember, coming out. I only wish we would have saved some of the thank you cards from some of these second graders because their illustrations were hilarious of cows and where the udders were. And we haven't found any of those, but oh gosh, those would have been darn.
Yeah, back in the day, that was the big thing.
Yeah.
All the schools had those little cartons of milk that you got to figure out how to open and drink out of. And I know we had those when I was growing up, and then our school went to the weird lever that you lift up in the big ice box thing to get your milk into a paper cup. It was an
That's not
interesting.
nearly as fun.
No, it wasn't, and it's not as memorable. You're like, that big machine. I'd rather have the little box. So did you keep some of those little boxes, big boxes? Did you do like all the sizes at Ayrshire Dairy?
We have them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you were even selling some of the cartons, unused cartons,
Right.
at the sale as well.
And we still have sets that are still flat that haven't been blown up
Oh wow.
that have all the sizes and different kinds of buttermilk and half and stuff like
Man, a lot of stuff going on
that.
there.
I know.
Going on there.
A lot of history.
Scott, do you have obviously you have lots of memories from out there. Do you have any particular memories of an interaction with a cow or anything like that? Did you get kicked or bit or anything like that when you were dealing with milking?
One ornery cow.
Yeah.
Dairy cows are pretty docile.
Yeah.
Dairy bulls are very mean. People don't realize that dairy bulls are much more mean-natured than a beef bull. And so we had some bulls on the farm, but after many years, we did all artificial insemination, so we didn't have any. So no close calls there. I got some stories about that, but so the cows weren't. I mean, the cows would kick you in the parlor when you were breaking them in the milk the first time. There were some that were more ornery kickers than others, but you just put a flank adjuster on them and they would stop. So not really. I wouldn't badmouth the cows at all. They did the work.
You were always kind and gentle to
A
them.
lot of respect. Yeah.
And I knew all their sires and dams and their milk production and just by looking at them. So you get to know your cattle like you do your own kids, maybe better, maybe even more.
Wow.
The one thing I would want to mention that we haven't covered is that the geographic location of the dairy is in the area where Lewis and Clark had their upper camp. And people can go out on 40th Street and there's an overlook area that looks down on the farmland from the dairy, and there's some placards there that are real nice that show the history of Lewis and Clark coming through that area and where they camped. You can kind of envision looking at it and then looking at the picture on the placard, and a little bit of the dairy history is on there also. So that we grew up with that, and my dad was very active in the Portage Route chapter of Lewis and Clark. It's, that's a big part of the history of the geography of the dairy.
Do you have everything to set up and make what would have looked like the camp every now and again, and just freak people out when they go to look at that and be like, "Oh, they're still there."
Some of the Lewis and Clark reenactors have come out and done that there and tromped around on the area. A lot of the land has been farmed and leveled and contoured, so it's not exactly like it was, but it's pretty close. And you can envision it. It's kind of fun to read the journals and envision what they're talking about, and try to figure out where exactly they're talking about.
Yeah, and folks, if you end up traipsing around Great Falls looking at that Lewis and Clark history, just remember that is private land. You're not just allowed to jump the fence and wander through the fields like it's your own, because it's not.
You can look, but don't touch.
Yep, look from the distance, read the information, that's it.
That's, I mean, between the Lewis and Clark history and then the history with the dairy there, that the land that you're on is very special and very significant in history in this area.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
That's really neat. When we went out, I came out to the estate sale the first day, and then the next day I brought my husband back out. And he mentioned, he's like, you know what I could see, which is funny because I'm going to have to, he's a Scottish descent. We went and visited his family there. They came over to Liberty County in the late 1800s. So would be very interested in that part of the history, but he looked at the land. He was like, I could see where this area looks a lot like Wisconsin. I can see why they picked this spot, because in that little valley, I guess you're in, it does look very lush, and it does look a little more like the rolling hills there. Do you know why they selected that, or was that land, or was that just the land that was available?
Why our great grandfather?
Yeah.
I don't know, Scott. He bought it from the original owner, so he was the second owner.
I think
I don't know.
Most dairy farms sprung up close to town, especially old ones, because you had to have a short distance to get your milk from your dairy to the people that lived in the city. And so that's why it's only 3 miles from 10th Avenue South, or maybe less, to the dairy. So it was close by town, and that was good farmland, and that's why he was able to get it, apparently.
Well, they picked a good spot. It looks very appropriate for a dairy farm. So, yeah.
Well, we really appreciate getting the history of the Ayrshire Dairy that was here in Great Falls, kind of the namesake to our cow on our on our wall in our mural. So folks can go full circle and see our cow, which was not an Ayrshire cow, but we called her Airy because that's who won the contest.
Maybe we'll have to get Ophelia back in to paint some like red on it, so it looks more like an Ayrshire cow.
It's a lot of little cows that are black in there too.
That's true.
Hey,
that's okay.
Let's not pick apart that painting. We will. But we really appreciate that history. We appreciate that one day maybe there will be a museum. I'll hold out hope. Because it just seems like an easy thing to do, which is a joke because it's not, I can imagine. But thank you for still being part of Great Falls. Thanks for sharing part of that history of dairy production in Great Falls.
Yeah.
So
really neat there.
Thank you for the invitation. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
It's been great. And folks, until we see your bright, happy, healthy, smiling faces in Great Falls, we do hope you're creating amazing memories with your friends and family, wherever you might be. We'll see you soon.
We're no dam experts as the recorded claims from Great Falls, Montana, covering what you need to know about this amazing dam town. Damn, that felt good.